Welcome! This video contains an introduction, an interview so you can gain deeper understanding of the subject from spirit level, and a group frequency calibration so you can start to clear the frequency distortion patterns around this topic. Enjoy! Hi everyone, my name is Cheong and I'm here with my co-host Dennis Kelly. Have you ever wished that you could manifest something in your life that you don't have but that you want? There is a lot of information and misinformation out there about how to manifest. So today we're going to talk about the difference between manifesting from the mind versus manifesting from spirit, because most people aren't even aware that there is a difference. And once we realize what the critical difference is, we're going to discuss how to manifest and what the roadblocks are so we can manifest more effectively in our lives. Dennis?
Karen, I've got a number of questions about this topic, kind of this creating and manifesting and through the mind versus through the spirit. And so, but could I just say something before we get started?
Sure.
On behalf of the folks that are watching this, I'd like to say thank you very much to you for offering these segments. People really enjoy this opportunity to kind of catch up with who you are and what you do. And the fact that you're offering this free of charge is just amazing. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And what I'd like to just add to that is please listen to the GFCs. That's where the work is. Yeah. So this is our exchange on the mental level, and the work, the frequency work, happens in the GFCs.
Yeah.
So.
But the fact that you're packaging that, this introduction and the questions and the GFC together and offering it to the public like that is just, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Now, mind, spirit.
Okay, let's go.
We would all love to be in a position to create.
Yeah, manifestation's a big deal.
Okay, how do I do that? Do I just sit down and really think really hard, and just the harder I think, the better my chances are of manifesting. Yeah. Or do I just throw it out to spirit and sit back and just hope something happens?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Okay, so this is a huge topic, and I will answer your question, but what I'll say is there's a lot of misinformation out there about how to manifest. And most everybody wants something that they don't already have. Most people do. It doesn't really matter who you are. There's something out there that you want that you don't have. So manifestation is really the bringing of something into form, into our physical reality. Right? That's how I think of it. And so there are many ways to manifest. Some of them have consequence and others have better results. So I'll just talk about it from that perspective. So in terms of creating from the mind, so you can create from the mind. You can do it successfully, but what will happen is that you will create a shadow. So because our brains are two in two segments and we have two eyes, we actually will create in duality if we're using just our mind, okay, without spirit. Just, this idea of imagine the thing that you want, imagine yourself already having it, feel the emotions of the thing and having had the thing and all that sort of stuff. So we've heard about this idea for a while. It's come out in the 90s, and that was a very prevalent idea. So it works. That form of manifestation works. Manifestation does work.
So just focused on the mind.
Yeah.
You're saying you can actually
manifest. Yes, you can do it
create,
successfully.
But
just the brain.
Just the
brain.
brain.
The brain and emotion.
But
the
you
brain
threw
and
in the word shadow.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So you will create, so you need the mind plus emotion to create, okay? And you can do it, or manifest, shall we say, and you can do it successfully, but there is a shadow, because what you'll do is you'll create the thing and then you'll create the shadow. So if you hear people who have stories of very successfully manifesting, they've, made a tremendous amount of money doing something or other, and then they lost all their money because somebody stole it from them, and then they achieved more money doing something else, and then they lost it again, or, they'll have these sort of roller coaster or whatever. That's evidence of creating in duality or creating from the mind. Okay, where there's something that's created and then a shadow that's created. So if you're creating from spirit, okay, or what I would call from unity, then there is no shadow because you're creating in through the oneness. If you're creating in oneness, there is no shadow because you're creating from one. There is nothing behind it. So if you're creating from spirit, you are creating from the oneness. and I'll talk about that in a minute. The challenge with all of this work, the biggest roadblock to all of this work, is that if you have distortion patterns running, if you have distortion patterns...
Not the distortion thing again. Oh, come on.
I know. But yes, so it doesn't matter what you create because your distortions are there, and it will obviously influence your reality and what you bring into it. So the distortion patterns are there. It's, that expression, no matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can create in unity without shadow, with the distortion patterns running, you still have a challenge. So that's one thing I'll note. Yeah. And the other challenge, okay, so there's a number of roadblocks here, is that the more we yearn for something, the more we want it, okay, so the more we want the thing, the car, the partner, the money, the whatever.
Karen, I want the new car.
I hear you. All right, because we all have wants. The challenge with that is the more we want it, the more polarized we get from it, the more it moves away from us, the more it's externalized from us, the further away it gets from us, and actually it becomes very hard to pull that thing in. So there's a couple of challenges here with manifestation, and that's why it can become really hard for people, and they get really frustrated with having things come into their physical reality. So I'm sure you have questions with regards to that.
I do.
So I don't know if you want me to dive into one of the things, but please go ahead and ask.
So let me just start with this. Mm-hmm. So I think the first thing I heard is that for me, just to sit here and think in my mind with my thoughts, and you said emotions also, maybe I can pull in something, but it's going to be somewhat tainted because it's going to have a shadow to it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily it's just you'll receive the opposite. So that's what I mean by shadow.
With time.
Yeah. So what I mean by shadow is you'll receive the opposite of that. So you'll get the thing and then you'll lose the thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's that you just receive the opposite as well.
So it's extremely exciting. Oh my God, look what I did.
Yeah.
And then,
And then I lost it all.
A year later, 6 months later, it's gone.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't sound good.
Well, yeah, for most people that doesn't really work.
Okay. So what I'd like you to do is just spend a little more time on the other side of the ledger as far as how to go about this creating with spirit and this unity that you talk about.
Yeah.
And then you put that little asterisk up there. Beware of distortions.
Well, I would say the asterisk comes before the unity thing that you're doing with your hands.
Yeah.
So the asterisk actually comes first from my perspective.
Yeah. So clear first.
Yeah.
Clear
so
first.
You have to clear first.
Okay.
Because
that makes sense.
For most people, they have distortion patterns around even being worthy of receiving the thing that they want, or that it can be easy, or or whatever, not whatever it is. So there's a lot of distortion pattern around even manifestation in itself and receiving. So unless you clear those distortions first, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to manifest. Okay,
So let me stop you there.
Yeah.
I know you're rolling.
Okay.
But
Go.
But the question I've got is when you just said that, is that, okay, clear the table first.
Yeah.
Before you prepare the meal.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm just kind of starting to work with you in these distortions. And so when will I know that, I've cleared enough that now I can start this creating, this manifesting? Does the bell go off? I mean, how will I know that, I'm starting to get to this place where I can work with unity, I can work with, pure source.
So what I would say about that is it does take efforting on our part. It's not necessarily work, because it's, to me, to do the frequency work, I find it fun because I'm getting rid of the stuff that I don't want, right? And I would say that there is a group frequency calibration, GFC, following this, which will begin that process for you, but it's not going to be enough. And in fact, I'm going to be releasing a master class on this. It's going to be given live and eventually online, and because it requires more time. It requires more time at this current moment in our human consciousness. Okay, it requires more time. So your question was, when do I know that I can? Well, you can start now.
Yeah.
Okay, you can start like even in the beginning of listening to this GST and start.
Yeah.
So what will happen is things will come in. They will take a little bit longer. They will be a little bit less clear. There will be some muddleness around it. You might get a version of what you want, and maybe you don't want it or whatnot. So it can already start to happen. So there's no time when you're like ready, in that sense, right? It's just how fast, how clear, how immediate, and then what you want will shift as your distortion patterns clear.
Oh.
That's the other key. As your distortion patterns clear and you ascend in frequency vibration level, what you want will shift. It will, because your distortions aren't no longer the things that are informing what it is that you want. So that will change as well. So to answer your question, you can begin whenever you want to. You will just notice the more work you do, the faster, easier, more efficient it is. The nature of what you want will change. So that's really awesome. I think I just answered your question. Yeah.
So it's a natural, organic process, and with time, with putting in the effort, and so the bell doesn't go off. It's over time.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm picking up, with these different sessions, is the fact that whenever you say the word distortion, right behind it is frequency and vibration. And so it's always about release, increase your frequency vibration, increase your your ability to be more at peace with yourself, to be able to create more, to be able to manifest. So there's kind of that common thread.
Yeah, and so what I would say is I'm going to define distortion because I just realized that needs to be done. So a distortion is almost like a filter, okay? And it's really simply, okay, we're going to back up. We're going to go big picture for a second. So anything that is not the oneness is a drop in vibrational level because it's not the oneness. Does that make sense? So the oneness is vibrating in this very complete high vibrating state. Anything that's not the oneness requires a drop in vibrational level to be something other than the oneness. Even awareness, the oneness being aware of itself, consciousness, is a drop in vibrational level from the oneness. Okay? It's like to look at oneself is have an awareness. That's a drop, right? So each drop in vibrational level that is not the oneness is a distortion. Now distortion is negatively charged. It just means drop in vibrational level. With people, what happens is those distortions often are perceived negatively because there are these things that bind us, right? So distortion is simply something that keeps us from being completely in union with the oneness, really. That's a distortion. So I realize a distortion is a negative charge because often the things that I'm removing are negatively charged. And it simply, does that make sense to you what a distortion is?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you remove these distortions, right, these things that keep you separate from being in union with oneness, then what happens is like these filters which keep you, it's like the layers of duct tape that keep you separate from being in with one, like a pure source essentially, then that's what you're doing. You're releasing those. So as you release those, you become clearer and clearer and higher vibrating. It's required because you're now dropping away these things that are causing you to drop in vibrational level, right? That keep you more separate from the oneness. Because we are all of the oneness. It's just that we've forgotten and we forget, we're no longer aware of that connection. Does that make sense? Okay. So does that answer your question?
No, that helps. Keep rolling.
Okay. I can't remember your question.
Well, now that you helped me with that, and I was just talking about distortions and its relationship to frequency and vibration, and you brought in the oneness, and that's the essence of all this, right?
Yes.
Is the oneness.
Yeah, oneness, pure source. Yeah.
So as I grow, as I evolve, as I increase my frequency vibration, my just natural gifts will grow. And so my ability to create will grow.
Absolutely.
And so with that, you're saying, mind versus spirit.
Yep.
You're back to when you're creating with that oneness.
Yes.
Lights out.
Yeah. Because when you release the distortion patterns, first of all, the reason it gets faster and faster is because you are clearer and clearer and more in awareness of your connection to pure source, right? So it's just fast. In our natural state, it doesn't take any time to manifest. It just comes in naturally. So oftentimes with really small children, not always, but oftentimes when they get really cranky because they want something immediately, it's because where they're from, it's instant. So they're just like, why is it taking so long here? Not all children, but many children. They're like, why isn't it here faster?
No.
So now, because really where they're from, it is now. And they just don't get that there's this thing called time here and there's a lag.
Yeah.
They're like, what is going on? So that's part of it. So as you ascend, it gets faster. That's why I'm saying it gets faster, because it's a clearer and higher frequency.
Yeah.
So there's less between you and pure source. It's just faster. Right.
Yeah.
I can feel a question.
Well, I was just kind of sensing what you were saying, and the sense that, as your relationship with pure source gets stronger, your abilities just naturally
Yes, exactly.
will grow.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. I mean, that's what happened with me. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why I have these
Yeah.
abilities, is because
Yeah.
I've released enough of my distortion patterns that my natural abilities are not being clouded by these filters. So that's why I can do what I do. And that's why I can help other people release their distortion patterns. And then it will help me rise up. And then it's the spiraling ascension for all of us. So, so yes, that is what is happening. And so what I'll say also, what's also key about creating in spirit, and it's going to be hard for people who've just started, okay, with the distortion patterns. It's the neutrality, the non-attachment to the thing that you are creating. Now, I realize that's really, really irritating, because you're just like, well, if I didn't want the thing, then why would I want the thing? Like if I were neutral, then like I wouldn't want it. So I mean, I get that. So we all have desire. My point is, we need to release our attachment to getting the thing. So you can have desire. Of course you want the car, but you have to release the attachment to be neutral. Like, do you get the car? Do you not get the car? How charged is that for you? The more neutral you are, the less you push it away from you, and more that you can enter the frequency vibration of that field, and it can come to you. Because by wanting it, you actually are pushing it away from you.
Yeah.
It's ironic. I know, it's the divine joke. I know.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
And then here's the little kicker. You have to surrender it. You have to surrender it back to pure source. That's the final thing. You have to be neutral, then you must surrender it. So then things can come in.
It's such an ironic twist.
I know.
Oh.
But what I'll tell you is, the amazing thing is, as you do more and more of this work, as your frequency rises, the funny thing is, even though you can manifest faster and faster and clearer, you want less. You don't really care. I mean, do we enjoy the things that come in? Of course, right? Of course we do. Like it's fun to have a really pleasurable experience driving an amazing car. It's really awesome to have really beautiful clothes, or be able to adventure in different places, or be able to gift things to people because you can. I mean, that's all wonderful, and you get to enjoy it, but you don't need it in the same way. It's a different relationship to the thing.
And I can't, you say relationship, and I can't help but think about a session that we did before where, I've come to realize I'm complete. Car, no car.
Doesn't matter.
I'm good to go.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Have the car? Oh, that'd be great. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Don't have the car?
It's fine.
Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that takes a while.
Yeah. And so as you do more and more work, this is not about a mental, like I really, really want to become neutral. I really, really want to become detached. I really want to become detached. It's not, but you don't even have to muscle it. You don't have to like effort it.
Yeah.
It just happens as a natural consequence of doing this work, because all these distortions start to drop away. And as you say, we become more complete. So there is no need for the thing. And we can still, and it's it's funny. It's like you enjoy things even more when they do happen, because you're like, oh, so awesome that I get to whatever, go on this amazing journey right now with these amazing people and have this expansive experience.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, that joyfulness comes from, it's like a little child.
Childlike
innocent, because they don't expect anything.
Yeah.
They don't really know. They have no idea. They're like, oh, I don't know. And then when they experience, they're like, wow, this is fantastic, because they don't have the expectation around it. And it's in that letting go for us as adults of that attachment to the thing that we enter that realm of wonder again, because you don't have expectation, you don't have attachment, so it becomes it becomes more pleasurable, more awesome, as opposed to, if you create from the mind and you really, really, really want the thing, and you finally get the thing, a lot of times it can feel empty. Like, oh, I got the thing.
You're wore out.
Yeah. And then you get the thing and it's really fun for like,
Yeah.
I don't know, a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, and you're like, okay, next. Because you're still empty inside. There's no completion.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're creating from the spirit and you're complete in and of yourself, you are complete. So it has a different tone to it, almost, a different feeling.
I really enjoyed that childlike innocence that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And
It's the wonder.
is to get to that point where it's just like when you wake up in the morning, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, the magical, mystical part of life. And I'm open and let's
it's really fun.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You know, so.
It's totally cool.
Yeah.
And then everything becomes play. Yeah. And the one thing I'll also say about childlike wonder is it is about play. Like we take all of this so seriously, you know, this whole, awakening, whatever, journey, whatever. And yes, sometimes you're like, oh God, especially if you're in detox, you're like, oh God. And then it is playing. This is about play. It doesn't have to be this serious. I mean, it can be. I mean, that's your option. It can be really serious. But it can also be really joyful and playful and fun and light. Yeah. It's possible.
Super.
Yeah.
Perfect place to end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen, could you help me? I hear so often when I look at your video or your website, GFC. Exactly what is that?
A GFC is a group frequency calibration, which looks a lot like a guided meditation on a particular topic. And what I'm doing is I'm helping you to remove the distortion patterns of that particular topic. And because you're coming together as a mastermind in a group to connect to pure source even more and to clear the distortion patterns of this particular topic, what happens is a tremendous amount of momentum starts to happen because of the energetic of the entire group. And each individual is able to move faster and ascend higher than they could have on their own. Welcome everyone to the Group Frequency Calibration on Creating from Spirit. This will be the beginning of helping you to create from this space. So let's bring our attention, awareness, focus to our heart space as we take 3 deep breaths together. On your first breath, you're going to inhale for a count of 4. And then hold your inhaled breath for a count of 4. And whenever you get here, please exhale for a count of 4. And then hold out your exhaled or voided breath for a count of 4. And on your second breath, you're going to inhale for a count of 5. And then hold your inhaled breath for a count of 5. And then when you're ready to exhale, you're going to exhale for a count of 6. And then hold out your exhaled breath for a count of 6. And note if this is uncomfortable for you and what you do in the face of that discomfort, if it is uncomfortable for you. And on your third breath, you're going to inhale as slowly as you possibly can. And then you're going to hold your breath for as long as you possibly can. And when you feel like you can't hold it in any longer, hold it in for a second longer. building discipline and control in your breath so you can stretch beyond what you are comfortable with. And on your exhale, please exhale as slowly as you can, and then hold out the exhaled breath for as long as you possibly can. And when you feel like you can't hold your breath out any longer, please hold it out for a second longer. And when you're complete with your 3 breaths, you're going to remain focused in your heart space, breathing regularly. And I'm waiting for the mastermind to gel. And as I do that, please note that I'm working on you at the group and the subgroup levels, and that I'll be making sounds on my end. So you're going to hear me hum, exhale sharply, and likely yawn, even though I'm not tired. That's just my way of removing the distortion patterns or moving the frequencies around, at least at this current point in time. Good. So, keeping our focus on the heart space, let's ask ourselves the following question. How can I become even more aware of my connection only to pure source? And that question again is, how can I become even more aware of my connection only to pure source? And as you ask yourself that question, please imagine, see, sense, feel, or become aware of a brilliance deep, deep, deep within your heart. Like an ember in a fire that begins to glow even more. To become even more radiant. More expanded. As you become even more aware of your connection only to pure source. And on my side, I am working on the back end to increase or amplify your natural bandwidth, whatever level you're at. Good. So remaining in your heart space, or at least keeping your attention, focus, awareness here in your heart space. The first distortion pattern that we're going to remove is the fear of this power to create. Because you create everything in your reality, whether you're aware of it or not. Everything. That's a lot of power. And for many, that is very scary. Okay, really think about what that really means. So, removing this distortion. And now, bring your attention, awareness, focus to your xiphoid process, which is right at the base of your sternum. Your sternum is that big, thick bone in the middle of your chest where your ribs meet in front of your body. So at the very base of that, there's a little fleshy point that's a little bit sore when you press on it. That's your xiphoid process. So this is the frequency of the next distortion pattern that we're going to remove is the frequency distortion of low self-worth or non-deserving of this power of creation specifically. Okay, so, and please note that if I say something that you resonate with, it's likely yours. And if it's something that you react strongly against, like it couldn't possibly be you, it's likely you. So I encourage you to, or invite you to be open to that possibility and to explore it. So this is about you having the power to create, as opposed to meaning I can't possibly have that power. So-and-so can, but I can't. Okay, or I'm not that powerful, or I'm not worthy of that, or what if I hurt somebody, or whatever it is. Okay? So, let's remove this, because you can't create with this running, at least not very effectively. And for those of you who are successful, who in a certain parts of your lives, you think, oh, this isn't applied to me. There's an area in your life where it does. All right, so moving your attention, awareness, focus to your entire solar plexus between your belly button and the base of your sternum. All right. So this is the distortion pattern of control. So In order to create from spirit, there requires surrender. It's a required act. Let's call it that. And for most of you on this call, that is really tough. Okay? Because you want to control things. You want it to be the way you want it. Which I understand. And in order for manifestation to happen, surrender is required. So, if you want to create leveraging the power of spirit, this is a requirement. With this pattern running, it's very difficult to manifest, or manifest across all parts of your life. You can only will certain parts of your life, and the others kind of are a mess, or perhaps not a mess, but not as in great shape as you would like them to be, or as they would appear from the outside. So let's remove this. So, the very next distortion pattern is the fear of releasing the mind, the fear of releasing will. Okay? Because who knows then what will happen? And that is kind of the point. Who knows what will happen when we're not limiting ourselves? But for many of us, it's difficult to release this will. Okay, so being willful about it. So we're just going to release this distortion pattern. So you have a choice. You have more of a choice. Okay, as opposed to if you want to continue with just powering through with your will, or if you would like a different way to work for you. So you're going to bring your attention, focus, awareness between your belly button and your heart space. This next distortion pattern has to do with the with lack of safety in the surrender state. So you don't feel safe if you surrender. So, meaning if you don't have your mind involved, trying to calculate or think of all the angles or whatever. It's difficult to surrender if you don't feel safe in it. And leveraging spirit is so much more powerful than the mind, because it's so much more information than we can possibly know from our minds. It's intricacy of timing of all things. So much more data even than we have access to. So when we open to that, the miraculous and the magic can happen. Good. So bring your attention now, please, to your solar plexus between your belly button and the base of your sternum. This has to do with receptivity or openness to magic and opportunity and a non-linear way of things coming about. It's the miraculous to some degree. It depends on how you want to frame it. A non-linear way of things are happening. So depending on who you are and in what subgroup you're in, there's resistance to this or fear of this, or it's not even possible for you to access this. It's not even within your possibilities. So if we remove this distortion pattern, then things can shift and the unexpected can happen, meaning even people help you in unexpected ways. That is a form of the magical or the non-linear appearing in your world. So there's no, I guess you could want to block this, but I don't know why you would want to. So let's just remove the distortion pattern. So imagine moving into this space in your body, in your solar plexus, between your belly button and the base of your sternum. So just imagine if you were to drop into or move into or dissolve into this part of your body. And imagine the vast blackness. And as you become aware of the vastness of this space, going to amplify the pattern of ease and unexpected opportunity. Or, if you prefer, magic. Good. So I'm going to leave you in this space of unexpected opportunity for as long as you would like. And I look forward to meeting you in the next GFC. And for those of you who are interested in delving further into manifestation from spirit, keep your eyes peeled for the masterclass. You will be introduced on my website, sphericalluminosity.com.